I see the ritual rug as the antidote to technology. It is the opposite of a tech product. It's made in this ancient tradition craft. And its purpose really is to pull you out of your technology, your obsession, your stress, the sort of chaos of the world. And it's a safe place for you to go and just ground yourself, breathe. It helps me live a more mindful life, a more present life. When I allow myself to take those moments throughout my day and just relax into the present, the ritual rug has truly become my tool for doing that. My name is Kelly Peyton, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ma Wovens. I did a lot of research into, for one thing, where am I going to find the materials to make my product, but also where am I going to manufacture this product? None of the materials I was looking for are manufactured here in the US, nor is there handwoven manufacturing to the degree that I was looking for. So I started looking elsewhere. Myself and my boyfriend flew to China. I found both the foam, the TPE foam that we use, as well as the organic hemp we use at two different areas. We went to northern China and checked out an organic hemp farm where they've been producing hemp for 8,000 years, probably the best hemp in the world. We want to know exactly what is going into our product. I started researching handwoven manufacturing in India, and of course, that is the mecca of this exact type of rug that I'm making. So I found a website that I really connected with. They spoke a lot to sustainability, to ethical practices, and when I sent them an image of my product, they just loved it, and they said, come on over, let's do this. I showed this product to people in the US, and they were like, there's no way we can help you with this. I then traveled to India, and I spent an entire week in their studio creating samples for the ritual rug. So after we really sat and collaborated with them, we came up with a product. Perfect. And it was when I was in India where I realized this is actually doable. And that was a very special moment. We decided to look up the Sanskrit word for creating, and it was Ma, which just threw me back. I loved that concept because, of course, that also is the word for mother. So I immediately knew that was the name for the brand. You know, weaving exists all over the world. There are cultures all over the world, and it's a thread that we all share. And so I like this idea that Ma is something we all share as well.
Very cool. Such an inspiring video. All right, so let's get started with some questions. So can you tell us a little bit more about the idea for the company and just where it came from?
Yeah, so I would say that as a lot of products do and entrepreneurs do create design products that come from a need, a place where they discover, oh, I'm looking for something and I can't find it on the market. Or so for me, I moved to Portland to go to a graduate program, a Master of Fine Arts program. And so my background is in fine art. I was a painter, largely a muralist. I showed in galleries and things like that. But I got into a place in my life in my mid-20s where it was just like, this isn't really what I want to do. I want to change things up. I want to look into being an entrepreneur. So I found a program in Portland called Applied Craft and Design, and it had an entrepreneurial underpinning. So it was a Master of Fine Arts program that was like totally different from where I was coming from, which is like a 2-dimensional painting degree. In the program, the first year was extremely difficult for me. So I got to a place where I was really struggling and very directionless. So I decided 1 year in, and at the same time, I was going into a lot of debt through this program. So I was under a lot of stress. I'm 1 year in and I'm realizing I need to figure out what I'm doing because it's not feeling right. I decided to actually leave that for a month that summer in between years and go down to Mexico, which is honestly, a lot of this company came from my love of handwoven goods. I've traveled around Mexico and just totally loved the handwoven scene down there. So I decided to go to Mexico in between those years and do a yoga teacher training. And I was really just like, I need to get back into my body. I need to get out of my head. I need to figure out what I want to do because this is scaring me. So it was while I was in Mexico doing this yoga teacher training, again, I'm surrounded by these handwoven products that I'm just enamored with, and obviously learning all of this yoga philosophy. And so it's kind of this moment I always talk about. It was this epiphany where I'm sitting on my yoga mat and it was, neon purple, like deteriorating PVC. I've always had an issue with slipping. Yeah. My hands have always slipped. Obviously, a lot of people have that problem. And I just thought, for one thing, it'd be really cool if there was texture here. Like I just had a vision of like, what if there was like texture in my hand? It would stop my hands from slipping. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, I wonder if this material could be woven. And it just kind of was like, you know what? Like I couldn't get this idea out of my head. So when I got back to school and I started school, and this program was really interesting. It was a joint program between Pacific Northwest College of Art and Oregon College of Art and Craft. Mm-hmm. So we could take classes at either college. So I had access to weaving classes, something I'd never done before. But I was like, you know what, I can't get this out of my head. I enrolled in a weaving class. And about a couple weeks into this weaving class, it was a beginner's weaving class. I was with all undergraduate students who were like kicking my butt at weaving. But I was like, you know what, I've got to try this. So sliced up my $150 Manduka yoga mat and just, I learned a very basic weave. Yeah. Started putting it in and realized, oh my God, this is actually a thing. So actually the company came from my graduate program. It actually ended up being my thesis, which that's a cool story. So, but while I was in school, it was more of an art object. It was a lot more beautiful. It was just, it was less functional at that time. So it took, but I also came up with the idea for Maud, that story where I said, I was trying to come up with a name. That happened when I was in grad school. So the whole concept for the brand was my thesis. Did you want to?
I love the meaning of the name, and I just love the connection to the product and to earth. And I love that you can weave. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I know how to weave.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the product and what makes it different from other products? I know you talk a lot about it kind of being the anti-technology.
Yeah. So when I started out, I was set out to create a better yoga mat. And a more beautiful yoga mat. I hypothesized it's going to be prettier, and therefore probably you want to use it more. But at the same time, it was definitely coming from a functional place. I wanted to stop slipping I didn't want to have to keep going through this buying cycle of you have your nice yoga mat and then you're buying these towels to put on top of it. And the towels were gross. Obviously, none of them had an aesthetic appeal. But so when I created it, I was really, really focused on function. Obviously, I was playing a lot with colors, but so the functionality, it took years of prototyping and playing with the placement of the foam. So I guess we haven't really told everybody, the ritual rug is made up primarily of two things: organic hemp and non-toxic TPE foam. And so it's really comfortable. It's it looks like a rug when you're looking at it, just like a typical yoga rug, but then when you touch it, it actually has yoga mat in it woven through. And so it took me years of playing with literally going from like a centimeter apart to an inch apart to half an inch, and just like, where is the best placement for for the foam and what is like the foam to hemp ratio, we use 33% less of the synthetic foam material and replace that with hemp.
Yep.
So that's what makes it different, is it has a very organic feel to it. Feeling the hemp and the texture makes it feel just more organic and less synthetic feel. So it provides both cushion, especially when you're sweaty, the grip is really amazing.
Great.
It's super lightweight, it's about 2 pounds. So really easy to travel with, really easy to fold up. It's really beautiful. Like we have a hanger, like a simple bamboo tapestry hanger that people just go crazy over. And so you can hang it up on your wall and it turns into like slash piece of art, which it's like nobody would do that with their yoga mat. I don't think so.
So awesome.
That's what makes it like different and unique. And we're still discovering like it's more than a yoga mat. It's just a place to be. It's a place to get away from all of this stuff. You know, it's a place to turn off the election and just go like hang out and reconnect with yourself. So it's we just say it's not called a yoga mat for a reason. It's the ritual rug, which we're still learning all of the possibilities of what that means.
Absolutely. Like any company, I'm sure you've had certain failures. Is there anything that you've experienced along the way that you can share? Like how did some of those help evolve your, the ritual rug?
I think like the most prominent failure that at the time was really terrifying, but truly was a huge learning experience. So when I originally launched the brand on my own, it was in 2018. It was in January of 2018, and I literally didn't even have product in my hand. I'd gotten back from India a few months before, put up a website, and was, I was kind of in that like, am I ready? Am I ready? But I just decided I need to just get it out there and see what happens because I have product coming. So I started selling, making some sales, and I was like, oh wow, people are actually buying this product. And I just kind of started thinking, where else can I sell this product? And started researching, expos, trade shows, things like that. And reached out to South by Southwest. They were having their first health and wellness expo. Reached out to them and was like, hey, it'd be cool to come down there, have a booth. Here's my product. And they reached back out and they're like, oh my God, we love it. Yeah. Come on down. It's $4,000 for a booth. And we can get a little bit into like my funding, how I funded this, but at this time I had no more money. I was really just relying on these sales that were coming in. So I was like, wrote back to them and said, nope, can't do that. And they wrote back and said, we love the product. Can we just, how about we do a trade? We'll get, 50 of your rugs and we'll use them because they were having free yoga events throughout the weekend. So they said, let's do a trade. We'll get 50 of your rugs and you can come down here and have a booth and just do whatever. And it'll be a trade-off. And I was like, okay, yeah, totally. So when I get down there, my rugs are everywhere. It was like so this was 2 months after I launched. It was in March. And so it's like a huge, like exciting thing. My rugs are out there. I'm watching people use them for yoga. I'm just like basking in joy. And then I walk over and I'm watching a yoga class with people and I'm seeing the rugs, multiple of them were in the feet, the foam was spinning in the product. Like when they pushed their feet off, the foam was spinning. And it was like, my heart just like dropped because this was the first time they were really out there in the world. And it was just devastating. And so I'm having to see people, returning the rug because they were demoing them and putting them back. And it just was totally terrifying, like failure moment. But that it was all good. Like it just forced me to go back to the drawing board and make some tweaks. But I think of the quote that Yvon Chouinard said that like never test your product on the customer. And he has this like really, really rigorous product development thing where he's just like, go beat the crap out of this product. So we know. And so that was a huge learning phase because I basically was the only product, it was me developing it. So it was very catered to me. that was a huge failure, but like definitely the biggest learning, like,
Yeah, what a valuable experience just to get all that feedback from, you know, people that would actually be using it. That's great.
yeah.
How did you actually evolve the product from there?
So what was very apparent was that in the hands and feet at that time, I was using different sized foam. So
Mhm,
through the middle of the rug, the foam was an inch wide,
mhm.
and then in the hands and feet, it was half an inch. So basically, it was not wide enough to, like, if you put your feet up against it, it would spin. But when you just made it a little bit wider from half an inch to 1 inch, it stopped spinning. So I made that tweak, and honestly, that all that did was simplify the rug even more. Like, a big part of this process is realizing how simple this product can
Yeah.
be.
Yep.
So now it's totally uniform. The whole rug is just uniform strips, uniform hemp gaps. Like, it's just so simple. And what makes it unique is that we incorporated the foam. To this day, I've never seen this product anywhere. And throughout India, I went to multiple places throughout India. They've never seen it. The type of rug itself is thousands of years old. The weave is very, very
Yeah.
just simple, but the integration of the materials and the placement of those materials is what makes it really unique.
Great. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, but for those people that are looking to start a company, do you have any advice on how to fund these type of endeavors?
Yeah, definitely. Funding is probably going to be your biggest hurdle, like 100%. Because I had this idea for a long time. I had it in grad school. After graduate school, I didn't have the money to start a company. I did buy a loom, and I just kept prototyping. So I had this phase where I just kept thinking about it and being in it. But it got to a point where, for me, it was like, I literally nothing else was happening in my life. Like, no other jobs were popping up. I was like, I need to do something. And I had gotten to the products to a place where I just had to get it out there. So for me, it was serendipitous, but definitely I think your initial funding is going to be from the people closest to you, from your mom, if they have the capability to do that, from a credit card. It's going to be very, nobody else really believes in you except for your mom and yourself kind of thing. So that's where you're going to get your first funding. And that was literally kind of how I got momentum. My grandmother actually had passed away, and my mom got a little bit of money from her. And then that it kind of just strung down to where it just was all really synchronicity, where it's like, Mom, please help me. I have to do this. And so I did get that first funding, which I love this idea that it came from my grandma to my mom. And so it's like the ma energy. Those are my first investors. And then, so that got me through product development, got me to India, all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, trying to keep asking friends and family, like, oh, now look how far I've gotten. They have a little bit more trust in what I'm doing. So bootstrapping, that's the first phase, which is like literally looking at your immediate surroundings. And then, so that got me through basically about a year, which was all about development, building a business plan, sourcing materials, finding manufacturing. And then that did get me through my first round of buying product, which was, I bought 200 units.
Wow.
They were very expensive. I was making like no profit on them. But, so my next thing was crowdfunding. So I did a Kickstarter, the fall of 2017. So right after, okay, am I right? No, yeah. So is it 2018? So in 2018, sorry. So after I had like put this into the world, and this was after South by Southwest, after having to redevelop the product, I was like ready to put it out there again. So Kickstarter was phase 2 later in 2018. So this is kind of how it happens, is you're in the startup phase, you're always running out of money. At least I mean, a lot of people, this happens to a lot of people, because
Sure.
you underestimate how much you need.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the Kickstarter, I didn't make as much as I wanted to, although we did get our Kickstarter money. you know, I could go on forever about Kickstarter because I learned so much,
Yeah.
so much about it. But pretty much immediately after I was funded through Kickstarter, I immediately knew I needed to raise more money. So that happens a lot as you're growing, right? You're in, and that led me into, I actually met a woman, Susan Towers, who's how I met Britta as well. And she introduced me to another woman, Sarah Batterby, who helps specifically female founders raise money from investors. And of course, that's like a really scary thing, especially because I was pretty much in pre-seed. This was a very, very early concept and company, but I had proved, since I'd gotten myself into the market, I'd gotten positive response from the market. And then I did a successful Kickstarter. There are some investors out there who will be interested in talking to you. So my next, thank you for sharing that, Britta. The next thing was learning how to raise money from investors. And so I was working very rigorously with Sarah Batterby, the Equity Collective Co., I think. And this is how I met my business partner, Liz Fitzgerald, through Sarah. And Liz, who is she's just like a total people person, a total like energetic, definitely more of like a salesperson, kind of like a perfect balance out to, I was very, you know, this was not my thing, and going out and raising money from people was just the scariest thing ever. But we teamed up and just went out there and raised money from investors, and we got just an incredible group of investors around our table, people that are totally like, they believe in us, they believe in the product. This isn't venture capital vibes. So that's kind of where we're at now, is we've got this really good base of capital, but it was very much like a full year of just focusing on funding, just focusing on raising money for like one thing to the other. It was, yeah,
easy.
It's a reality.
Well, as unique as your product is, you also have a very unique distribution strategy. Do you mind sharing like where you sell these and kind of how you stumbled upon that?
Where I sell them?
Yeah.
Well, right now we're mainly just direct to consumer. But so I guess like speaking back towards that South by Southwest experience, something that happened from that experience that I didn't anticipate, which, you know, it's like, it kind of shows how you should just kind of throw yourself out there in the beginning. At first, I was really trying to obviously get this product into yoga studios, and was hitting up yoga studios, and they were just like, it's pretty, but no, we cannot afford, because the product is $188. At the time, it was $199. So I started really learning like, wow, yoga studios, I mean, it was like one after another turning it down.
Yeah.
And then I come to learn that yoga studios are really not financially profitable. And so like to be bringing in these really expensive products, that's just like, it's too much risk. So they usually bring in more of the like bare necessity type stuff. At least the ones I had been reaching out to. But so I'm like, okay, that avenue isn't working for me. So I'm at this South by Southwest Expo and start getting approached by people who are sourcing product for hotels. And through being at South by Southwest, I made 2 wholesale accounts, which are current accounts. We have had return buys from them, both Miraval, which is a Hyatt-owned, like kind of like retreat yogi kind of hotel vibe. They have 4 locations. And then we met Blackberry Mountain, which is Blackberry Farms, which is just this like beautiful, dreamy farm, like it's in Tennessee. And so they've been a repeat customer as well. But so through that experience, I realized this whole avenue for us, obviously right now, it's not, the hotel thing has gone down, but just like realizing the potential of our product is a total balance between a design object and a functional product. So yeah, that was a cool experience.
How you kind of thought outside the box there. It's cool. So you talked a lot about, and I know your video talked a lot about just how sustainability is important to you. Just talk a little bit about kind of your supply chain, how you found your makers. I know the video went over it, but just knowing it's important to you and the core of your business.
Yeah. So I got the first time, as I talked about in the video, I just Googled handwoven manufacturing in India and was just, that is the largest Google search, but somehow I was able to whittle it down to this website that really spoke to me. That group of people actually were, they were like a sourcing, or sorry, not sourcing, a sampling studio. So they only had 3 weavers. So they're really, really amazing to work with in this phase of development. It was really truly because of this studio, Studio Thirsty Crow, that I was able to make this into a real product, like from my somewhat amateur weaving to like a real functioning, could make this at scale product. But I used them for that first year, but I was getting product literally like, here's some product, here's, I never had inventory basically, just stressful. So I knew that when we raised money, the very, very first thing I did was go back to India and source, find new manufacturing. And so that's like a huge undertaking. But the way that I structured that adventure was, I knew that I wanted to find ethical manufacturing. And that's a really deep topic, because what does that mean? But we all know that there's unethical manufacturing, especially in India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all these places. So it's like, that is the no. So I decided to find, okay, is there, I found a nonprofit called Goodweave International, and they do, they vet handwoven manufacturing all over the world, huge, huge network in India, so that you don't have to do it on your own, obviously. And their biggest thing is child labor. So they are very, very, like, their main thing is these children need to be going to school. So that's like their main thing, but then it's also like safe, safe, fair wages, those, all of that falls under the blanket of the Goodweave label. And so I started there and I narrowed down the list of hundreds of Indian manufacturers. I was flying into New Delhi, so I knew that I could only, hit places that I can at least fly to close to New Delhi. And I actually ended up I went to like around 7 places, and some were like, great. And then others were like, oh my God, this is not good. It was quite, really seeing like, this is just starkly, this is not ethical in my eyes. And so probably not ethical in our customers' eyes. But then the top one on my list, Hafizia, I checked out them, and it was just like, it was so amazing. Just an incredible experience to just see how they have 3,000 looms. They were just making rugs that were like 100 feet long. Like, it was just a really beautiful experience. They have this beautiful lush garden outside for their weavers. They have this program where, they're very interested in getting the weavers' children's into school. So they have a program where they like help fund their books, help fund their uniforms. Like, it's a really, really beautiful place. They took us on as their partners, and we've just been having an amazing experience working with them.
Awesome. You're still with
just like one other thing is, what's that?
You're still with them.
We're still with them, yeah. And what also is kind of cool about what I'm really value is having like real relationships with our people. Like, we really see them as being a part of our company. And so that initial Sarab and Sunanda, who was like the original studio that we worked with, they actually helped me find my next manufacturer, which I just think that like we have a concept of doing business in the West or the US that it's just like, that doesn't apply everywhere. And it could definitely apply in India for sure, but just like, they were just my friends, and they literally went with me to these places and like helped me talk to them and helped me. And so it was like, just like having relationships like that is a big part of our company. They're real relationships. Yeah.
Great. So knowing the ritual rug right now is one of your products, how do you envision the company expanding? What's next for you?
Yeah, so it's a pretty important point to make that we are not a yoga brand. Even though you would probably go to our Instagram right now and think that we were a yoga brand, because a lot of our photos are people doing yoga or meditating and things like that. Our product is a yoga inspired product, but we're actually a hand-woven goods brand. So our products are really based in the concept of course, the manufacturing, ethical manufacturing, sustainable. The materials are really, really important, how it's made, materials. But also like, what is the function of that product? And so we kind of have this umbrella of like the function of the product is to help us live a more mindful and present lifestyle. And so that's a pretty big umbrella. And we now how can we fit these hand woven goods into this? So our next product actually, and this is kind of a spoiler alert because we haven't put it out there, it's like we're expanding into other hand woven goods. So we're actually, our next product we're working on is a ritual rug essentially, but a smaller one that can just be used throughout your home. And really thinking, because I have ritual rugs everywhere, but the tactileness and the comfort of the rug feels really amazing under your feet. And we're really into this idea of you integrating like being present throughout your life, throughout your day. So for instance, in front of your kitchen sink, can you be present there? Like, can you like bring these ideas of meditating while you're doing dishes? And so we're trying to string together like how the ritual rug is a place where you develop meditation and, you know, becoming more present, but then where in your life do you bring it? And so like we have ideas for a bag that is made in Mexico. And, you know, ideally we want to be working with weavers all over the world. That's the big vision. But so we're just kind of slowly starting to integrate new products as we go.
I love that. I love that. So another question. So if anyone's listening that has an idea or is an entrepreneur, what advice would you give them? Looking back at everything that you've done, what's a little piece of advice you can give some people?
Okay. Oh, there's just so much. I think that one thing would be, sorry, I feel like I needed to think about this.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot either. You're such a wealth of knowledge and you've been so much. You know, you can think
well, you know what, I look back and I think about how incredibly nervous and just always in like fear and and like also realizing it's like nobody else, like not a lot of people are doing this. This is kind of cool. Like you should be psyched that, you know, it's really difficult and like not believing in yourself is always going to be the biggest hurdle. But like I think the biggest thing that was a hurdle for me, because I say this in, you know, I am an introvert. And it was really hard for me to get out there. That was a big hurdle for me. But when I started, I mean, I could say when I decided to show up to a Built Oregon event and by myself, you know, at the very beginning of this, and I was introduced to Susan Towers, and that just started to like unfold. It was like I needed to get out from under my own rock and out from under the fear of not being accepted into a community or something like that. Because once I got involved in this huge, by the way, there's a huge community for entrepreneurs in Oregon. And once I started throwing myself out there, that's when things started happening. There's so much support. We were in a Built Oregon accelerator not this last summer. This last summer was COVID. So the summer before that, we got to be in an accelerator with Built Oregon. It was fantastic. We were surrounded by all these other brands that were further along than us. But I mean, the fact that we got to be around these people and asking questions every week and feeling like I was in a community, that was a huge break, I think, for me, because when you're feeling so alone, there's actually other people who are trying to do this too. And so I think those are the ones that we've been involved in. I know there's so many other accelerators and programs and stuff like that.
So it sounds like believing in yourself, putting yourself out there and not being afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, totally.
That's great.
Yeah. letting people help you.
Well, I have a question for you. Do you still weave?
No, so you guys saw the looms. I really wanted to show that video because I wanted people to see. A lot of people don't know what looms look like. You know, they're huge and they make a lot of noise, and they so I bought a floor loom. It was like 6 feet wide by like, it was huge. And my boyfriend at the time, you know, we had this loom in our apartment and I was always furiously weaving on it. And then we moved to our new house and had to move this loom, and looms are like the most awkward thing. And like had to like, so multiple times had to figure out how to like move this loom around. And I think it got to a place where I was like, you know what, I actually don't think I'm a weaver. Like I enjoyed it because it was really working hands-on, and just developing that product was, I think, why that product was made, because I was, you know, I was playing with materials, I was learning the process. So that's how I was able to do it. But once I was done with that process, I had some dreams of like, maybe I'm a weaver artist and I'm going to keep, and I was kind of over it once I was done with the whole experimenting and getting to the, and I was over having the loom in the house, and it wasn't my calling for art. I'm more interested in getting back into like painting than I am weaving. So the long answer, yeah, I got rid of my loom.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Britta, do we have any questions that we want to take from the audience?
Hi, I'm back. Let's open it up to questions. Right now, I don't see any coming in, but as you ladies have been chatting, I'll turn my camera on here for a second. I've been putting names of attendees in a bowl for a raffle drawing for the Ritual Rug Prize.
Yeah.
So do we have any audience Q&A? You guys, there's, you know, these great ladies here that you can ask anything. And, you know, Kelly, there was a question that has come up in some of the other sessions, and it's maybe more for students, you know, that are maybe trying to go into something like this. I know you've already talked about your process and all the things you went through with Kickstarter. Is there any kind of top advice you would give for a young entrepreneur or a student that may want to follow a similar path?
Yeah, I actually, now that I'm thinking about advice, so my company honestly wouldn't have worked out if I didn't meet Sarah Batterby, and she introduced me to creating a projections pro forma, which is a spreadsheet that helps, that it's a calculated spreadsheet that helps you really figure out how your business is going to operate. There's so many people who have good ideas whose business fail because they don't have the back end structure of how you're going to keep this business afloat. And that's why I was having so much trouble in my first year, because I didn't understand the financial stuff. And you can do it. Like, I came from zero math background. I literally came from art. We never used spreadsheets. I wish they taught us, but never introduced to spreadsheets and all that. But through working with Sarah Batterby, she taught me how to do this. I learned how to create like a super in-depth projection sheet where I'm able to look 6 months out in my business and say, we need to be doing this right now because we need to be here, over here. And so learning how to do that and taking very seriously the financial aspect of your business and getting it sorted out from the beginning. You need to know, okay, you have this idea. Something that took me a long time is, I have this really cool idea. How much does it cost? Like, I didn't even really have that stuff figured out when I first launched this company. And I don't know if it was just I was not challenging myself to figure that out, or maybe I didn't know how to, but once I figured out, like, you break down every little line item, it's so empowering to have that aspect of your business like sort of on lock. And I think that for me, it should have happened a lot earlier, but things happen as they do. But I would say that, like, take that really seriously. Figure out your cost of goods as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think as creatives, it's very easy to get so focused on your product or the creative design of what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And creatives are not necessarily business people. So yeah, great lesson, and get help if you don't know that side of the business. Reach out to friends or other supporters, and through the network, and places like Sarah Batterby are great. I don't know what she's doing during COVID, but she would do like these seminars or these workshops and invite people in to participate. So I imagine she's doing some virtual workshops as well. And she is a great resource, and she is based in Portland, but she has the website. So you can, I'm sure you can participate online and not have to be here locally. So that's a really great, the link is there. So check that out.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure she's still doing them. She has the master class. So when I did it, she didn't have this going yet, but I was doing one-on-one, like really rigorous stuff with her, but she has now converted these business teachings into what's called the master class of fundraising, where it's like very affordable. You're in an online class. It's an online class structure with a cohort of, maybe 12 people, and she's teaching you this online, all the stuff I learned. So it's like, if you're in that phase of your business, like I highly recommend, because it literally changed everything for me. So
yeah, and I'll say she is such a dynamic speaker also. So if you haven't, she might even have some YouTube videos we have on Inside Fashion Design, the YouTube. Kelly, what was that, 2 years ago probably, we had the women's entrepreneurship where she was a guest speaker.
Yeah.
And I remember it was similar to this. There's an entire day lineup of speakers and panels, and I'm going down the list, and she was maybe after lunch or something, and it was whatever the title was, it was something financial. So for me, I was like, oh, it's going to be some financial talk, but I'm going to fall asleep. It was so exciting because she is so dynamic. She's very funny, very engaging, tons of great information, especially geared towards women entrepreneurs. So she is just lovely to listen to, and you will definitely smile and you will definitely learn from her. So yeah, so that was such a great talk and getting to know her. So definitely check out her website. And I'm going to go ahead and do the little drawing here. So let's see who's winning a ritual rug today. I'm not looking.
Drum roll.
Pam. But unfortunately, like, she disappeared. Wait, hold on. She was here earlier. She's not here now. She must have cut out early. So anyway, I'll find who Pam is, and congratulations. She's got the rug, and hopefully we can reach her, and then I can share with Kelly how we'll ship that off to her. So any last parting words from either of you?
I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Britta. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you both for your time and sharing your story. And we have another session starting at 4 o'clock. So, and we also have a virtual networking happy hour at 5. If anyone wants to join in, a great way to connect. And we will have everything recorded, as I mentioned. So come back and check that out if you didn't get to participate at the moment. So thank you, ladies, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.